One of our most popular YouTube videos titled, "Do Europeans Speak English?" sparked a lot of debate, especially from Europeans who don't love being lumped into a single category when it comes to something as personal as their language. We heard you loud and clear in the comments, and today we're diving into your feedback, sharing more context, and unpacking the research behind, do Europeans actually speak English? Hi, I'm Daphne, Marketing Director at VeraContent, a content marketing agency based in Spain. Based on my accent, you might be thinking, what does this American know about European languages? And that's a fair question. So here's some background info about me. I'm originally from New York, but I've lived in Spain for nearly 20 years, which is my entire adult life. I'm also one of the co-founders of VeraContent. Our agency works across many European markets, localizing content for audiences in different languages, regions, and cultures. And our team, collaborators, and clients are from all over the world, not just Europe and the US, but from everywhere. So while I'd never claim to speak for all Europeans, and who could, I do bring the perspective of a longtime resident of a European country and someone who has interacted with Europeans from various countries throughout my entire life, even when I was living in the US. In my current job, I see the real impact of language on marketing every single day. So here's one thing we absolutely do know. Europe is not a single market. It's an incredibly diverse continent with 44 countries, 24 official languages, and over 200 indigenous languages. Each country is unique, not only in the languages they speak, but in how they live and what they value. And that's why talking about Europeans as one group can be quite tricky, and why the answer, do Europeans speak English, is, well, it's complicated. In our first video on this subject, we referenced data from the Eurobarometer 540 survey. It's called Europeans and Their Languages, conducted by the European Commission in 2023. It's based on over 26,000 interviews across EU countries and part of an initiative connected to the 2019 Council recommendation on multilingual education. The goal? To encourage Europeans to learn multiple languages and to promote linguistic diversity across the continent. The survey looks at how many people claim to speak various languages well enough to have a conversation, and that's where things get interesting, because what counts as having a conversation can mean different things to different people. One commenter illustrated an interesting point that said, if you ask an Italian, they might say, "Sì, I can hold a conversation in English," and then gesticulate while speaking half English, half Italian. But if you ask an Eastern European, they might say no, because they're unsure if their English is good enough for a proper conversation. Now, while this is, of course, hypothetical or a generalization, it does represent a valid point. And yes, perceptions of language ability vary, and the survey is more about what people think they can do than about certified fluency. For marketers like us, this kind of data is still useful. Why? Because it helps guide our clients on how important it is to localize their marketing instead of just assuming everybody speaks English in Europe. While the survey covered many languages, we focused on English because it's the most commonly spoken second language across Europe. It's also the language most requested by our clients in marketing. A common question we hear is whether it's worth adapting content into a local language or if English alone will do. Most clients understand that English isn't the ideal solution when marketing in European countries, but it can be a cost-effective option, provided the target audience is receptive to it. So, what did the research say? About 47% of Europeans in the study said they could hold a conversation in English. That's much higher than for other languages, with French and German far behind. But again, this is an average. There's huge variation between countries, regions, and even age groups. In general, cities usually have higher English proficiency than rural areas. Younger people often speak English better than older generations. In a separate study, the EF English Proficiency Index, the EF EPI, countries are ranked by actual English proficiency scores based on the results of over 2 million adults who took the EF SET test. One viewer pointed out in the comments that this study differs from the Eurobarometer one, and that's an important point. The methods and aims of the two studies are quite different. So, naturally, the results don't line up exactly. While the Eurobarometer survey is based on self-reported conversational ability, the EF EPI ranks countries using standardized test results. It also examines English proficiency differences among regions, cities, and age groups, which brings to light that some countries with relatively low English proficiency, like Poland, could still have cities with very high English proficiency. In Poland's case, Warsaw. Regardless of what the research says, we know that you can't generalize a whole continent. And we fully understand why that frustrates some viewers. We've read your comments and we understand. So that's also why it's important to look at each country separately. I won't go into each detail in this video, but you can check out the report yourself or our full summary, both of which are linked in the description below. A few of you pointed out that we didn't highlight France in the original video, and you're right. So let's talk about France now. According to the study, about 40% of French citizens say they speak English, slightly below the EU average. After English, the next most spoken second languages in France are Spanish, 13%, German, 6%, and Italian, 5%. France places 43rd in terms of English proficiency according to the EF English Proficiency Index, meaning its English proficiency is considered moderate. But here's what we see from experience. Even if many French people can understand or speak some English, that doesn't mean they want to see it in marketing. In fact, in many cases, they don't. France is a country that is incredibly proud of its language and culture, and as a global brand, you need to respect that in your marketing. We also got lots of comments about Germany. Around 65% of Germans say they can speak English, but again, that varies by generation and region, and in the EF EPI study, Germany ranks 10th, showing a high level of English proficiency. Bavaria is the top performing region, and people aged 21 to 25 are the most proficient. In general, English marketing messages can be effective in Germany, but if you really want to resonate there, using German will almost always perform better. Germans expect clear, accurate information and prefer seeing it in their own language, especially for key product details. Of course, if you're targeting a younger international audience, English is often more accepted, especially on social media. But even then, important information should be in German. Germans value clarity and precision, and using their language shows respect for that. At the end of the day, in both marketing and daily life, people appreciate it when you make the effort to speak their language. So a personal recommendation is that when traveling around Europe, I do recommend learning a few key phrases for the country you're visiting. It could be as simple as knowing how to say hi, bye, please, and thank you. That little bit of effort goes a long way in showing respect. But for brands, you need to go beyond that first hola, bonjour, or ciao. You need to really localize your content, and that's what we do for our clients every day here at VeriContent. So why do we care so much about whether or not Europeans speak English? Because we're marketers, and our job is to help our clients reach their audiences in the best way possible. And often that means not using English. Even in countries with high English proficiency like Sweden and the Netherlands, localized content almost always performs better because it connects on a deeper level. Of course, language is only one part of the puzzle. Understanding local context, culture, and values is just as important, if not more so. And honestly, we're also language nerds and we love digging into this kind of research. So what do you think? Does this match your experience of speaking or hearing English in Europe? If you didn't catch our original video, look out for the link below. We'd love to hear more from you, so leave a comment. And of course, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for marketing tips and insights. And if you want to keep learning more about global content marketing, don't miss this video.